Hello, or shall I say, right then, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the channel. This is actually, I guess, a part 2 on the video I did yesterday, which is discussing the Batman HBO Max spin-off series. There was a big update about it yesterday, which got a lot of people's backs up because there was a report going around. Ed Brubaker revealed that he was told it was going to be a Jim Gordon show, right? Not Gotham Central. And then a lot of people said on the back end of that, oh, it's just going to be Gotham then. So all it is, it's Gotham. It's Gotham 2.0. And understandably, that is understandable, because with what little information was given, I can see why people would draw that conclusion. So this is new information based on the back end of that. And it comes direct from the showrunner. And he has adamantly stated it is not going to be Gotham. So let's dive into this today. Before we do, ladies and gents, I have about 80 Blu-rays left of my film Black Fields. You can find it linked down below in the description box. Just to let you know, it's not just the film Black Fields, it's also the prequel film that's on there, and an hour-long behind-the-scenes making-of documentary, along with concept art and the soundtrack. So please do grab it whilst you can. There's only 80 left, so you do need to be quick. And also, sales actually stop in 2 weeks' time, May 3rd. That's when you can no longer buy it, if it's going to still be available anyway. So that's linked down below. Also, side note, ladies and gents, I've actually got a second channel. It's a car channel. It's called Car Nonsense. There is a link to that down below in the description box, and content officially starts up again today at 6 PM GMT. I bet you didn't know I had a second channel, but I do. So if you like cars, you like interesting old retro Japanese things, there's a link to that in the description box. I probably really should start talking about that a little bit more, because no one knows I've got it, but I do. Anyway, that out of the way, guys, let's dive into this. So, like I said, yesterday, and it was yesterday, it was a really, really interesting piece of news. I found it to be quite interesting. Anyway, it was dropped that, it's going to be the Jim Gordon show. So let's just cover this real quick, just to bring everyone up to speed if you weren't aware that this information dropped yesterday, and you, I don't know, you didn't watch my video because YouTube sucks a donkey dong and doesn't let you know anymore. But basically, on Kevin Smith's Fat Man Beyond podcast, Ed Brubaker, the writer of Gotham Central, he appeared on there, and he spoke with Kevin Smith. He revealed what he knew about the Batman HBO spin-off series. He said, I was like, maybe they're really going to make Gotham Central this time. And so I reached out to a producer who works for Matt Reeves, and he says, no, that's not really Gotham Central. They're making sure that they don't call it Gotham Central, and it's more of a spin-off from the movie. It's like the James Gordon show. So when you hear that, the obvious parallels to Gotham are pretty big. Like, you know, I can understand and appreciate that. And also as well, there's also the fact that it was already confirmed that it's going to be taking place during Batman's Year 1. So when you hear about Batman's Year 1, you hear about it from the perspective of Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon. You do go, oh, yeah, it does sound a lot like Gotham. You know, I can get it. I can get behind people assuming it's going to be just like Gotham. Young Batman, young villains, Jim Gordon being our point of view character. I get it. But obviously, a lot of people said this. A lot of people would have gone on Twitter. And a lot of people have reached out to the showrunner. Obviously, a little bit concerned and a little bit understandably annoyed, I guess you could say. Because you don't wait for one of these shows to just have it replicate in an older show. And the concern is not unfounded, right? Let's have a look at it. Let's have a broad spectrum of shows that have tended to replicate themselves. Are there some? Yes, there are. So it's not completely unfounded. But anyway, the showrunner behind this, or at least one of the showrunners, Joe Barton, was tweeted. And this all happens on Twitter, and that's why, you know, Twitter is not terrible, but is terrible and still sucks as well. But Danny Robinson, aka Art Digital, tweeted, I'm curious to how different this will be to Fox's Gotham. Also, how this show could potentially influence sequels to The Batman. Now, the last question is actually the most interesting, And the last question is what I would have liked an answer to. But sadly, Joe Barton was obviously annoyed, and understandably, he just tweeted out, very different. And that was it. Shame. Shame. To which someone else chimed in the conversation and says, thanks for saying this, Joe. It's been so annoying seeing people call this Gotham 2.0 or Copaganda. To Joe replied, yeah man, personally wouldn't be that interested in remaking a show that ended like 5 minutes ago. But Joe Barton, what you need to understand and appreciate, and also everyone else as well, is that, yeah, but people do keep remaking shows. They do. And, you know, whether it's 5 minutes ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, remaking a show constantly is lazy, boring, it's creative bankruptcy, and the commentary on it being Copaganda, well, there is an awful lot of ACAB stuff around at the moment. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of police and servicemen hatred going around at the moment. There was an awful lot of celebrities joining that defund the police movement. So to sit there and then hear from Matt Reeves that yes, it will be told, you know, it's a story about corruption within Gotham PD, you can understandably draw the conclusion that it'll be Copaganda. And that's one of those things that you need to learn, Joe Barton anyway, to differentiate. You know, tweet out something which will show people that it's not that. Or at least it's not just that. It's an age-old story of Gotham City with corruption rife within Gotham, because it is rife within Gotham. So anyway, Joe Barton then obviously just was annoyed by this and tweeted out himself, caught between wanting to correct inaccurate news stories about my show and just being, you know, happy that people are talking about it. Now this part's really interesting because actually it flies in the face of this report from Ed Brubaker himself, which is really interesting. Really, really interesting. So, with respect to this, well, who's he been talking to? Who's he been talking to? Because at this point, it looks like, and it sounds like, whoever he's spoken to has given him bunk news. Which could be the case. It could be true. I don't see why it could be false. Yeah, it could be the case that he was given completely false news just to throw him off the scent, which is actually what I sort of theorised in yesterday's video, was that, you know, people try and get out of doing licensing for things like that and royalties and such. So could he have been told that it's not Gotham Central because he wrote Gotham Central and he'd be looking for a kickback somehow? Yeah, maybe. Or maybe they just don't want him involved. Yeah, maybe. Got to keep people on side in some shape or form, and if they don't want him involved but they still don't want him to badmouth the show, they could just say, nah, it's the James Gordon show, you know, whatever. So there we go, there we have it. It's not going to be Gotham 2.0, which is good. But also, it still could be Gotham 2.0. Let's be honest, it's not the first time showrunners and producers have lied. So we'll have to see how this develops. I am actually looking forward to this. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I genuinely am looking forward to this show. So let me know what you think down below in the comment section. If you're new here, please do hit subscribe. Please do give the video a like. And please do share it. Like I said at the start, we've got my Blu-ray down below. We've got my second channel link down below. Cars. Check it out. As well as memberships on the channel and Patreon. Cheers though, guys. Take care.